Hello shipmates and welcome back. Today our next review of Battleship is SMS Seydlitz from Iron Plot, excuse me. What an odd way to start the video. Anyway, SMS Seydlitz battle cruiser from Iron Plot. She is 9005, was it, or 9030 cruiser? Well, she was commissioned 9030. Excuse me for the little whoopsie daisy of memorizing correct year. But Seydlitz, how is she? Well, from recent updates we got some few weeks ago, we finally have Rondo at Rainbow's End, another major Ironblood event, which brought us the First World War ships in the game, total of 6. And Seydlitz is one of them. Seydlitz, it's not just any battlecruiser. She was preceded by Moltke class, but she was succeeded by Der Flinger class, and she is the only ship of her class. So we have only one Seydlitz in history. How is she? Well, she is the legend, she is the unsinkable. She is the most sturdy ship we have in Ironblood by survivability. Well, she actually survived Battle of Jutland, but her fate was scuttled at Scapa Flow 1990, but salvaged in 1928. She was then scrapped. But she also seems to have a motto, and her motto is always forward. Not bad. As for her Battle of Jutland and how did she survive that, well, to be actually all in short, in the simplest way as possible, here's the picture. After the Battle of Jutland, what I read, she took like 21 hits and 1 torpedo hit, and some resources says that her only ballast room in her bow was her forward torpedo room. And she, thanks to her repair crew, she managed to survive, although with limping back home. But she survived hell of a beating. And not many warships in the history that actually managed to put that. And Seydlitz was really close. You know what? If you can actually damage the ship in a way that the bow is literally touching the surface level, you got some really tough battlefield and managed to survive that. Now that was a really short history about the Seydlitz, but she is really unsinkable. Now, as for her game, she has heavy armor. Oh, it seems I don't have mouse. There we go. Her hit point, as for it seems to my build, she has maximum, well, by the gear, 7,963 HP. Her firepower is 411. Her AA is somehow existing, despite being a World War I battlecruiser, battleship. She still seems to have some kind of AA. 285. Her armor is heavy, so she can actually take some couple of hits from normal and HG, but AP is really what damages her. She has torpedo 192, speed is 26, understandable, World War I design. Her luck, however, is 83. You were really lucky for that one. Her reload is 160, it's not impressive, but it is there. Her evasion is 36 and her accuracy is 73. Also, I almost forgot that the resources where I read and actually watched about Seydlitz is not just the damage control team that actually helped her survive, but also her helmsman. And if I remember correctly, the helmsman was drunk while in battle. So imagine you have a drunk helmsman with a heavily battered or beaten battlecruiser, and you managed to save it thanks to crew effort. So and what I also heard, the helmsman got a medal from that fight, but because he was addicted in alcohol, the helmsman was like just going on about his life. So, what an absolute legend. Being drunk while in the battlefield. Oi oi! Find it back to the Seydlitz. Then her gears. Her main gun is 140%. Her secondary is 170%. And that is in battleship standards not good. And her auxiliary weaponry is 70%. That's a very standard in the Ironblood way, but very few Ironblood member has above 100%. But this is auxiliary weapon. You can actually have either secondary weaponry or anti-air. But that's all on you how you want to build her. Now the main deal, her skills. First is Iron-Willed Leader. When the battle starts, if there are 2 or more Ironblood ships in your fleet, increases this ship's firepower and reload by 18%. When the battle starts, the higher percentage HP this ship has remaining, the shorter her reload time of her first main gun volley, at least 20%, up to 80%. Okay, during each battle, this ship will tank 60% of all damage received by your Ironblood main fleet ships, and the damage tanked is reduced by 20%. This effect becomes inactive after primary effect of skill Unsinkable Legend activates. So first of all, Iron-Willed Leader. At start, if there are 2 or more, minimum 2 or more Iron Blood ships, increases firepower and reload by 18%, and that is by far a really good one. And the battle starts, the higher percentage HP this ship has remaining, the shorter her reload time for the first main gun volley. At least 20% and up to 80%. So like, she can fire very fast in a get-go. During each battle, this ship will tank 60% of all damage taken by your other fleet ships, main fleet ships, and damage tanked is reduced by 20%. Now, this skill is what makes her really tough in some way, or more survivable, either in main campaign, Operation Siren, or PvP exercises, but I will talk about those later after this. 60%, that is a lot. Really historically related, and I love it. Unsinkable Legend. Once per battle. I think it's probably... yes, it is one sortie, like one map. Once per battle, when this ship takes damage that will sink her, this ship does not sink, she evades all attacks for 10 seconds, and she recovers 22% of her max HP. After this effect activates, decreases this ship's damage taken by 5% until the battle ends. The higher percentage HP this ship has remaining... Okay, let's read this carefully. The higher percentage HP this ship has remaining, the more damage she deals, up to 20%. Up to 20% more, the lower percentage HP she has remaining, the less damage she takes. Up to 20% less. If effect does not modify damage taken tanked as a result of skill Iron Will Leader. Okay, we need to digest this carefully. Once per battle, when this ship takes damage that will sink her, this ship does not sink, she evades all attacks for 10 seconds, and she requires 22% of her max HP. This start, I did some test runs before I made this video, and I have to say this has helped a lot, a couple of times, but this activates only once. After this effect activates, decreases this ship's damage taken by 5% until the battle ends. The higher percentage HP this ship has remaining, the more damage she deals. Actually, I don't know. Up to 20% more. Okay, so like, let me correct this. If you have more than 20%, she deals more damage. Okay. 20%? The lower percentage HP she has remaining, the less damage she takes. Percentage. Up to 20% less. Now, I have to say, that is a really good. This effect does not modify damage tanked as a result of skill Iron Will Leader. Okay, these two does not combine, it seems. So like, one still... Okay. I have to apologize because I try to translate that to make myself to understand that, but if you understand, that's good. Now, Marvels of History, Seydlitz. Every battle, the first time this ship fires her main guns, fires level 10 special barrage. When the battle starts, if this ship is not your flagship and your flagship has Marvels of History skill, the higher percentage HP your flagship has remaining, the shorter the reload time of her first main gun volley. At least 20% up to 80%. So, this is something like you want to have one of her fellow comrades, either Thuringen or Lutzo, with her, because these two ships have Marvels of History skill. Maybe we will get Derflinger in the future, because I heard and actually read that she was also part of the Battle of Jutland. Now, I had to change my equipment a couple of times. She has... Well, my build for her is Bismarck class main battery guns. Then... What is this? Northern Parliament secondary gun. It's not complete, but thanks to her 170%, I wanted to be a somewhat reliable, so to say. Or probably I should change these two places. Maybe I should... Okay, this thing gives firepower, not AA. Well, anyway. And then, second slot has Iron Blood, Jet 26 class. What? 26? No, 46, I have to say, excuse me. 46? Well, anyway. Well. Twin 128 centimeter gun. Apologies. It has been so hot today, so my brain is kind of melting about all this. Now, we have gone through her stats and skills. Now let's take her into battle. Well, hello everyone, this is Voice over Lucky Mies over here. Now, Seydlitz, Iron Blood Battle Cruiser, and also very durable one. What is my honest opinion about Seydlitz today in 2025 Azur Lane, in the middle of 2025? Now, I want to point out that she is very capable in right hands. Well, the reason I want to say right hands, because one, when I took her with other World War I Iron Blood ships, the Thuringen, Lutzo, Elbing? Emden, and York, and Elbing and York. Okay, and I hope you get the point. This record, you see, is before I made the review of Seydlitz and her skills. the fleet I used after this record was more successful in manually. Now, when it comes to the map 14, when you bring a battleship that has no AA, the same as with the Vanguard that has no AA, and you tend to see some decent amount of planes. Also, you have a lack of accuracy, which all in combine affects her performance. Now, main campaign is a little bit screwed. Let's just say you want to use battleships that has no AA, but then you have to rely on other ships that has AA. So, like, hard to say. This record I have over here actually was prove the point that you can try and automatically play her, but then again you really need a help of a healer for a Vanguard like this to actually survive map 14 and -1. And because I want to say the healer, I mean either Perseus or Unicorn. Now, as for her paddle performance, map 14 has accuracy decrease thanks to a night paddle, and some unknown reasons. I want to point out this historically. If I recall, Thuringen actually used her searchlight to spot one Royal Navy ship, and when all searchlights were pointing that Royal Navy ship, she was, let's just say, sent it bottom of the ocean the quickest way as possible with every caliber armament you have on board of your ship. Now, Thuringen not having that kind of skill to actually increase accuracy in a map like this is actually very sad. But with all those debuffs aside, she actually manages to save backline a couple of times when the enemy's pawns manage to push deeply back to the main fleet and dealing some damage over there. Seydlitz is there to absorb the damage, making sure that the other fleet's members survive. And once you hit that critical point, she becomes unsinkable for 10 seconds, and then you can hopefully just switch to the finish the battle and then switch the second fleet to finish the map. What else do there's have to say? Well, thanks to her other buffs, she can see and the flagship, either Lutzo or Thuringen, can fire really fast in first salvo. And same goes with the Seydlitz, increasing her damage output just by reloading her guns fast. As for the Vanguard, it doesn't really matter what kind of Vanguard you have. just make sure you have a Vanguard that has high AA and survivability to support 2 old Ironblood battleships, so to say. And map 14 seems to have less planes, but because the night battle, yeah, really bites. It really bites. But how is she? Well, if you want to have someone, well, I'm jumping the gun here. PvP, how does she do in PvP? Well, surprisingly, really good. It also depends what kind of enemy you are fighting. But there have been a couple of times that actually made her skills very useful. Let's just say you have Warspite, Lion, and then... who could be the other one? A carrier, perhaps? Not the Royal Oak. In the enemy main fleet, and Vanguard is some random light cruisers and heavy cruisers, all of the torpedo memes, for no god good reason. And let's just say the Vanguard is down, but also your Vanguard also gets destroyed. Well, let's build a scenario. The enemy fleet fires first. Let's just say Warspite immediately fires somewhere in your main fleet, and Thuringen takes that 60% damage to herself and tanks 20% of it. Now, if the enemy Warspite has the greatest and the most damage buffing equipment you can equip in the game, she is like a floating nuclear weaponry, the Warspite. And Seydlitz in your fleet absorbs that damage, and I have seen some insanely stupid numbers that single Warspite salvo can easily just, let's just say, destroy 50% of Seydlitz's health, and that is not a good sign. And I also want to point out that that clip you saw right there is a good example that this fleet I have over here was not meant to fight enemy main fleet. She did survive, thank God. But the other fleet members didn't. Meaning that I also want to point out which fleets she is good to deal with. She can do well in PvP, but you need to also remember those skills if you want to utilize her really well. And also make sure that you can also use Ironblood main fleet in a PvP too. Then again, there are others who can actually play way better than Seydlitz, so it's your own personal choice. How do you want to challenge yourself in PvP? Now, there's also this question that is the ship girl good taking out light armor or heavy armor enemies? Well, that is hard to question to answer for my part, because I see that she can do both things really well. But also, she could also do really well against light and medium armor enemies. Because if you have Lutso, Lutso has a skill that requires either AP or SAP. That ammo type shouldn't exist any way, shape or form. But seems to be Ironblood has the... well, generally it seems to have some kind of hybrid of HE, but that's in World of Warships. But ranting aside, I say either SAP or AP to Lutso, and Lutso can deal some good damage to heavy armor enemies, while Seydlitz can also deal some damage to light armor enemies. And if I recall correctly, she doesn't have any skill that requires her to have any type of Ironblood weaponry. So you can give Seydlitz an HE gun if you want to deal some damage to light armor enemies, thanks to her fast reload capabilities. Boss or mob fleet? I highly recommend check the boss and what is the map. She can do well with the mob fleet. I don't know about the boss fleet. Map 14 can be a hellish to go through. But that all depends what kind of fleet you have. Mine fleet didn't work. But I hope your fleet can work way better than mine. So like, I highly recommend taking her as a mob fleet and build a second fleet that can either be hybrid mob fleet and boss fleet. But if we want to have Seydlitz, go to the sortie or battle menu, or what is it called? And then below the main campaign is the War Archive. And there, in War Archive, is the Rondo at Rainbow's End. And there is Battlecruiser Seydlitz waiting for you in map D3 boss fleet sunk 60 times as a reward. So yeah, Seydlitz is a War Archive reward. That's that's where you can get her. Losing my haven't talked a lot. That's where you can get her. Either way, I say we have now finally come to the end of this video, this review. There have been some kind of yapping with my opinions about Seydlitz. She can be good in right hands and with right equipment, so treat her well and she will treat you well. Also, she is worth to oath as well. Thank you so much for watching. My name is LuckyMiez205. hit subscribe and bell icon to get the future notifications and supporting my channel. Take care of yourselves and see you next time.
指揮官さん、もう終わったよ。次もよろしく。